Welcome to Film Jury, where movies stand trial and the verdict is always final. In every episode, our roundtable of film fanatics becomes the jury, dissecting the visuals, the sound, the storytelling, and the performances as they examine every element that makes or breaks a movie, because every film deserves its verdict. Warning, this podcast does contain strong language and major spoilers are ahead. Court is now in session. Welcome to the Film Jury Podcast. We are in March, so we are kicking off our month of meta. And actually, tonight, I am seeing the film that kind of started the meta craze, or at least the franchise that started the meta craze. I'm seeing Scream 7 tonight. I'm curious to see how abysmally terrible it is. The reviews are pretty bad, but that is what's inspired this month long of dissecting meta films, or films that have some meta component to it. And the first film we're going to be diving into is The Cabin in the Woods from 2011. It's a comedy horror film. It's directed by Drew Goddard in his directorial debut and produced by Josh Whedon, and is written both by Whedon and Goddard. I'm the host who wishes he were the intelligent jock in a film, James.
And I am Heidi. I am your personal Mordecai. Let me pump your gas for you.
And I'm Kat Stratford, lead antagonist and head of the Army of Nightmares.
Ooh. I'm Kat. This is one of your all-time favorites, but Heidi, you hadn't seen this?
Correct.
That blows my mind.
I'm so excited to dive into this one, because this one is like just an absolute standout favorite for me. And like so much of Joss Whedon comes through in it.
I was curious if it would hold up. It had been a number of years since I saw it, and I was wondering if it had aged well. And so that's kind of what I went into this wondering is, you know, this really at its time poked fun at the slasher just not even the slasher, but the horror genre in such a fresh way. But that was 15 years ago. And is that going to still ring as powerful as it did 15 years ago? And, you know, to kind of jump to the conclusion, I would say, yeah, I think it still holds up. I was impressed at how strong the longevity of this film was compared to when I first saw it. But Heidi, did you have any preconceived notions about this movie going into it, or any idea of what you were getting into?
I did not. I actually think I mixed it up with a different movie when the title was said out loud. I think I was picturing the
Cabin Fever.
The Last Cabin on the Left or something like
Last
that.
House on the Left.
I think that might have been where my brain went. And so when it started, I was like, this is not that. And like, yeah, but if it weren't for the youth of, you know, the actors that I've seen since then, I wouldn't have put a time on it. Like, I wouldn't have said, oh, that's an older movie.
Yeah. We've Last House on the Left has come up on the show before. I don't remember what episode, but we were talking about SA.
It was one of our Christmas movies. The 1984, what was
Black
it?
Christmas.
Silent Night, Scary Night, like what?
Oh, Silent Night, Deadly Night, yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about the gratuitous like nudity, and how like every death has to come with rape, and you can feel it when you're watching that movie, that like the nudity is like very much for the male viewers. It's like written and directed by the men, and so like in exploitative films like Last House on the Left, even though it's like technically a revenge exploitation film, really all like you get from it is the exploitation. So that was like what we talked about. There's an interesting tie-in with this film, actually.
With Last House on the Left?
Yes. So actually, Goddard was not comfortable at all filming like any kind of topless scenes, and his actor, who is it who winds up topless in this? I feel like it's not even real.
Anna Hutchinson.
Yeah, the blonde.
Yeah, so like she actually had to comfort the director and be like, hey, this actually isn't a big deal. But like it just shows you like how different the mindset of the director in this was, that he was like horrified by the prospect of like exploiting this young woman. And in fact, in another tie-in to Silent Night, Deadly Night, he actually, like, so in Silent Night, Deadly Night, there's a prominent scene where a young woman is impaled topless on a moose.
It's a deer, but yes.
Whatever, man. Like,
could be an elk.
Give me your lunch money right now. Like, I can't believe we're doing this early in the episode. But she gets impaled on that. In Cabin in the Woods, we have a scene where our character Jules, our bimbo, is dared to make out with a wolf head, and like it's a little gratuitous, that scene, but it felt very much like an old-fashioned horror. But actually, in order to make sure that the actor was totally comfortable doing that, they coated the wolf in powdered sugar. That's what gives it the dusty look in the movie.
Oh, interesting.
I was laughing because I didn't realize the script from When I Lost My Virginity made it into the director working with Anna Hutchinson of, it's really not a big deal. I'm just topless. Oh,
so much. It's so cute and so wholesome. And considering that surrounds Joss Whedon, it's nice to still have that.
Yeah, I mean, he's what would that would make him like the antithesis of Brett Ratner?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's exactly what that means.
I can't believe he's making a comeback. Like, I can't believe Paramount is funneling money to him. That just blows my mind. That a topic for another show. But all right, well, let's dive into The Cabin in the Woods. So the opening credits, we kind of have this graphic montage of blood kind of pooling over and creating these drawings and paintings, and you kind of get the sense that these drawings are without time, that they're ageless. You know, some of them feel like they're drawings on the side of a cave, and some of them feel a little bit more detailed or a little bit more modern. And then we cut to two phenomenal character actors, Bradley Whitford and Richard Jenkins, at a vending machine, having a kind of perfunctory conversation about women's fertility issues. It's so random and opaque. And then they start talking about, and there's no context yet. Well, Stockholm went south, and so it's just Japan and us. And we're number 2, but we try harder, which was a cute nod to the old Avis ads from the, was it the 80s? That was like Avis's tagline, that they're the number 2 car rental facility. So it just means they try harder. And so Whitford and Jenkins are kind of, glibbing back and forth and talking about, well, we haven't had a glitch since 98. And then we hit with the title card, The Cabin in the Woods. And I feel like I don't remember the marketing of this movie when it came out, but I feel like, and Heidi, we'll cue to you because you went in so fresh. Did you have any idea of what was going on with this opening scene?
No, not at all. I was like, okay, something's going to happen to this guy's wife. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, okay.
Liberation happens to her.
Yeah, I'm like, where's her character? She never shows up.
And to kind of set the scene a little further, like, these guys appear to just have an office job But as they're walking through this office, it becomes more apparent that this isn't just a typical corporate facility, that they're in some sort of bunker because the walls are concrete and there's no windows anywhere. Like, they seem to be underground. That is the vibe you get as they're working through this facility, and then they end up in a golf cart, kind of like you imagine the Austin Powers movie where he is trying to get
Yes.
through the secret facility using the golf cart. Like, that's the type of vibe of the environment that they are in. Kat, I jumped in. You were going to say something?
I was, because like I felt like, because of the way that they're dressed, they're almost like dressed like Mormons who might come and knock on your door with the t-shirt button up. I don't know what that's called, a cap sleeve button up. I don't know. And for whatever reason, outside of having my door knocked on, this outfit automatically translated to scientist. I didn't know exactly where we were, but I knew that we were like in an underground bunker where like maybe like they're doing important science work. We also see Fred from Angel, and that's our first clue that this is a Joss Whedon project, because so the female scientist, I think she's identified as Ms. Lynn. She's from the chemistry department. She is like, they talk to her and they're like, remember, chemistry is the one that dropped the ball in 1998. By the way, the 1998 is a reference to a specific horror movie, and I wonder if any of you guys know which one it was.
What came out in 98? Would it be
something where a group of
teens
the like Faculty?
The big bad with chemicals.
They attack the big bad with chemicals? So it's not the Faculty.
It is the Faculty.
Oh, it is the Faculty. Okay. Was that a Joss Whedon project?
I don't think so. But they reference so many films in this. Like, obviously, like we'll get into it. We're going to be here for a while.
So we cut to Kristen Connolly. Roll credits, please. Like, I could die happy with this being the whole movie right here. She's prodding around in her underwear next to an open window, which is like wildly entertaining at face value, until then you start to realize that they're doing this intentionally because it is such a trope in slasher films to have the feminine character just, a la Slumber Party Massacre, a la Sorority House Massacre, a la, fill in the blank Halloween movie, X number of Friday the 13th movies, always prancing around in their underwear. So, this is done very intentionally. And Kristen Connolly plays Dana, who is our final girl. And her roommate comes in, played by Anna Hutchinson. Her name is Jules. Anna Hutchinson's boyfriend is played by Chris Hemsworth, a very young Chris Hemsworth. This is pre-Thor muscles. Still Chris Hemsworth. Like, we're not.
Fun fact, Chris Hemsworth was cast as Thor based on the dailies from this film.
That is a wild anecdote.
It's interesting.
Like, so like producers are seeing the dailies from this shoot.
Yeah.
And like, ultimately MGM goes bankrupt after this movie is filmed, and so it is shelved and not released. While all that is happening, Chris Hemsworth gets a couple other roles. He gets cast as Thor. Thor actually comes out before this movie.
Thor came out before this movie?
Yes. I
no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like 3 times bigger in Thor than he is in this movie.
Well, they also use a lot of visual tricks to make him look bigger in Thor. Like, anytime he's standing next to Natalie Portman is 5'2".
Tiny.
She was, part of the reason that she was cast is because she's so tiny. But to make it look even crazier, the height difference and size difference, Obviously they had like Chris Hemsworth eating like 9,000 pounds of tuna every day. But also they would have him standing on a platform anytime they're next to each other. And then they would have to bring in like closer camera angles so that you wouldn't notice that somebody had to pop down off the platform. Basically, they took everything that they did in movies with Tom Cruise to make him look average height to make Chris Hemsworth look like a god.
Very nice.
Or to make Will Ferrell look short or super tall in Elf. Yeah, and everyone else short. So Chris plays Kurt, who is a smart athlete. And we're introduced to this story that Kurt and Jules are setting Dana up with Holden, played by Jesse Williams, and Holden plays football with Kurt. That's about as much as we know. And Dana just isn't in for this setup. She apparently is crushing over her teacher or professor at the school who there's something wrong there. I assume the professor's married. That's the take I'm getting.
It's established that Professor Bennett had an affair with Dana and then broke up with her via email. And one thing I love about this movie is we get so much in such a little time. Like we are like really zoomed in on each of these characters for, I want to say like 2 minutes max. Like we get like all of their story. But like I now know that Dana had an affair with Professor Bennett and he broke up with her via email and she's heartbroken. She's not ready for anything.
It's, I would say, very intentional script writing. None of this is voiceover narration. None of it's over-explained. None of it feels forced, but yet it does a good job of setting the stakes. We get a sense of every character's ethos, even small things like Chris Hemsworth character notes that Dana is reading the wrong book for her, what was it, philosophy class? No, it was like an Eastern governmental class, like governmental studies in Eastern Europe. And he's like, oh, don't read that book. The professor, like, read this book. It'll impress your professor more. So I was like, oh, okay. So we're hinting that, once again, he's more than just your typical jock. So we're showing stereotypes, but we're also showing that the stereotypes are not stereotypical.
Yes.
And another example with Dana, the fact that, we're going to show her as the trope of the final girl dancing around in her underwear. But what is the biggest trope of a final girl?
She's
virginal.
A virgin. She has to be a virgin. She's pure of heart. She's pure of soul. She's pure.
And it's very clear Dana's been banging a married professor. So
yeah,
pure she is not.
The other thing that we get is Jules, our typical blonde bimbo, is not a typical blonde bimbo. It's introduced very early on that Jules is pre-med. And despite the fact that she has blonde hair, the first thing they let us know is that, oh my gosh, you dyed your hair blonde. It's a complete transformation from how you used to look. Like the first 3 people that we see in the movie, like, tell us, oh my gosh, you just dyed your hair blonde. And then with Holden is meant to be our nerd, but he's a jock. Like our first intro to him is he throws a football to Kurt, who is our actual jock. So he's our nerd, but he's also a jock. He's on the sports ball team. I never caught what sports ball it was. He's on the sports.
It's clearly football because they're throwing a football.
Listen, I don't get paid to know what sports balls are what, okay?
We're getting paid.
Wait a second, I'm out.
We also get a shot later on of Holden's delicious body. Like, I mean,
I get paid in my own ways.
Yeah, someone ate his Wheaties. We then meet Marty, played by Franz Kranz, or sorry. The fact that's not his actual name is upsetting. No, it is Fran Kranz. His name is Fran Kranz. I wrote down Frank Kranz and then by accident pronounced it correctly. Fran Kranz. As he pulls up in a car just pouring with pot smoke, and he has literally smoking a giant bong whilst driving, to which then he collapses it into a small handheld thermos.
Yeah, how did that not get marketed as a product after this movie?
Because
I'm blown away.
The pipe was $5,000. It was actually a very functional water pipe and thermos. Like it completely functioned. It cost $5,000 for them to make the prototype, which they did for this movie. I'm curious to know how much of the budget went into Marty's weed smoking, because actually he had coaches for the entire thing for this. They invested quite a bit to make sure that he would always be smoking, and it would always be accurate to any potheads who are watching at home, which I thought was really funny. Another funny thing is, like, so Marty's obviously being introduced to us as the jock. Here's where the meta gets even more meta. Like, obviously nothing is quite as it seems. The tropes are not quite troping, but here's one that's like extra meta. The buffest person in this film is Marty. The reason he never takes off his shirt is because he actually has bigger muscles than everyone in it, and he would have had to be cast as the jock.
I don't believe that at all.
Oh, believe that, my friend. You can actually even catch a glimpse of it when he comes back from when he comes back on the dock, and you see him like kind of like pulling, I can't remember, is he pulling jewels or he's pulling something, and you get a nice silhouette of his arms, but he's intentionally back through the movie. And when everyone jumps in the lake, he's notably the only one who stays on the dock, because if his physique was revealed, you would have known he looked like, and this is a direct quote from his castmates, I didn't say this, don't come for me, everyone would have known he looked like ripped Jesus.
He so now in my search history is Fran Kranz body. He's and I'm on the Reddit thread of lady boners.
This is the greatest day of my life.
He's cut. He's very cut. There's no denying that. But these are not Chris Hemsworth muscles.
Chris Hemsworth did not have Chris Hemsworth muscles.
He was still pretty. He was not small in this movie.
Him out of bed at any point, but like for Thor, I feel like sometimes we forget he worked out so much for Thor that he, like, his clothes were like tearing off his body, like he was ripping clothes, like with how like he got. Like, this is like the beginning of that like weird phase that we entered where men like have to like really get as big as The Rock to portray an action hero.
Well, I will concede that Fran is in great shape. So they are covering him. He's wearing like a baggy t-shirt, and under the baggy t-shirt he has a long sleeve shirt. Like, so he's layered. He's layered to hide his body. But style-wise, I mean, he looks the part. He's playing the stoner. Like, he looks like what's the guy's name from Friday the 13th Part 3? The goofy guy that Jason ends up getting his mask from. That's the idea of who I think this guy is. Clearly the comic relief. The one that, you know, he says society needs to crumble. You will come to see things my way. He gives a little harbinger message before they go off on their little trip here. And they're all getting in an RV because they're going on vacation together, because Kurt's, was it cousin, had a cabin in the woods?
Yeah,
cousin, right?
Supposed cousin. Yeah,
they never really unpacked that. And as they drive off, we pan up to looks like an agent, a governmental agent on the roof of the building, with an earpiece, and he puts his hand to his earpiece and says, "Nest is empty. We're right on time." So then we cut back to the security facility where we have good old Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford, and we are now revealed that they're tracking this group of people, and they called them their targets. We've acquired the targets. We go back to our group, and as they pull into where? An old gas station. Which is, it is so required in any of the 80s slasher films. And Friday the 13th kind of established that trope, but certainly Texas Chainsaw Massacre played into it a lot. Motel Hell was definitely on the fence with this one. You have the wise old man who warns of treacherous things down the road if you continue down this path. Even Rob Zombie's using this in House of a Thousand Corpses. Like, none of this is like new. Like, this is done intentionally. They pull into this old gas station where we have this old gas station attendant who he's what?
It's Mordecai.
Yeah.
He's insulting them, but also saying that, hey, you're gonna die.
Well, he doesn't say that. He uses like, I don't want to say euphemisms, because what he says doesn't sound any nicer. He's like, you got enough gas to get there. It's getting back that's the problem. Please don't soundbite that. Please. I know you're going to, but yeah, like he makes a bunch of vague, creepy comments. He spits like in the general direction of our blonde bimbo and calls her a whore. And he looks like he's suffering from like serious radiation poisoning for no reason.
Yeah. Like, he almost looked blind to me in one of the scenes.
Because they gave him like a wall-eyed contact, so he's got one eye going the right way, and then one eye is like, up here. Then I think they might be cataract. He's got some heavy makeup on, for sure. He looks like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, when he doesn't have the mask on.
So they leave the gas station, and the van starts to drive through a tunnel. The camera holds outside the tunnel as we see, I believe it's an eagle, flying through the sky. And then all of a sudden, the eagle deadpans and hits what appears to be an invisible electric grid separating where this van is driving to from where they were driving from. So they are driving through a force field, and this tunnel through the mountain is what we assume is the only entrance into this force fielded area. So this area is secured off. And I feel like now's a good time to do another temperature check with Heidi, because this is such a what the fuck element of what movie did I sign up for? So Heidi, where are you at when you see this happen?
Well, because at this point we've seen kind of the underground lab, and I'm starting to understand there's some kind of experiment here. And yeah, it was a little confusing because obviously they can program it, but you would think it would go through the tunnel as well, but they don't crash into it with the car, right? You see them pop out on the other side, and it's kind of like, okay, now what are they in for? I'm waiting for like video cameras on trees, and I did notice like some of the shots of the kids when they're out. I'm like, where are these cameras that the people are seeing them on, down in the facility? Like, how did they get all these shots? They must have cameras everywhere. Or
they do.
You never see a drone, anything like that. So there's just invisible cameras everywhere, in the forest, in the rooms, in everything.
and like I have in my notes at this moment, because like everything that we're seeing is a trope, and we're aware it's a trope, but we also are getting, you know, these little cutbacks where like we have a bird hitting the force field, and it's like a reminder, you're not watching a supernatural horror, you're not watching a teen slasher, you're watching something different. Stay tuned. It's like a little breadcrumb, like there's more coming.
Yeah.
The van pulls up to a cabin right out of Evil Dead.
I have in my notes it's the cabin from Evil Dead, and I couldn't find anything saying that it's a direct reference, but
how is it not?
How is it not?
Even the angle of the introduction of the cabin looked identical. And if not the OG Evil Dead, then, well, actually the remake of Evil Dead came out 2 years after this. The remake of Evil Dead was 2013. This was 2011.
I needed more time to do research on this. I couldn't find anything that like I knew that they were both Sam Raimi fans. They actually wanted Bruce Campbell to play the director in this. So, you know, they're Evil Dead fans, and I see Sam Raimi references throughout. Of course, I see Sam Raimi in everything.
You have your own Sam Raimi scale of goriness. So
every time I get like a paper cut, I like rate it out of how many Sam Raimis that is.
When you have to check in because you like cut yourself too much to the hospital, you're like, I got 7 Raimis right now.
It's desperate. I've lost 7 Sam Raimis of blood.
They're exploring the cabin in which Holden comes across these paintings of, and we only get quick glimpses of the paintings, but what it looks like is colonizers brutalizing cattle or doing some sort of ritualistic sacrifice of cattle. But you just see these atrocious paintings of these pioneers just eviscerating, slicing open, dissecting living cattle, and it's gross. So he says, it just says no way, and he takes the painting off the wall in his room, to which all of a sudden it reveals a one-way mirror to the room next to his, which is Dana's room, and Dana is undressing. And now Holden has a really conflicting scenario of, do I inform her that I'm about to watch her undress? And he hesitates, and he really waffles on this a few times. Like, I should tell her, but this is good. This is good. Nope. I need to tell her. So he goes and tells her. She's freaked out, and being the gentleman he is, offers to switch rooms with him. Like, I'll switch rooms with you. And she's like, you know, I appreciate that. Let's do that. So they switch rooms, and what does he do immediately?
Undress.
Starts to undress. Like, Holden. We knew what you were packing, Holden. We knew it.
And so, of course, this leads Dana, who's not ready for love because she's our virgin, to like put the horrible painting on top of the mirror. We get another close-up shot of like just tendons from the kettle or boar's neck or whatever. And she says the exact same thing that she does, or he does, and she's like, oh, I think not. And she goes to put a blanket over it. And then we're back in the lab.
Well, did anyone notice the other character in that painting?
No, we must have missed it. What was it?
The gentleman on the hill in the top left corner.
The one kind of standing behind a tree?
Yeah.
I couldn't really clock what was happening there.
Well, I think later he resembles one of the family members.
Oh, that would track.
And he's holding just down to his, he's got like a funny hat on, and he's holding down to his side like a machete type,
like a scythe
weapon.
Or
no, it's straighter than that.
Oh,
but it's like bigger than a dagger.
So he's one of the Buckners.
I think so.
That would make sense. I do think it's interesting that this whole interaction between Holden and Dana plays on this idea that what is more offensive to see? Is violence more offensive to see, or is nudity more offensive to see? So Holden was looking at violence as, I don't want to look at violence. And he pulls down the painting, and now he's about to see nudity. And he's like, let's not look at nudity either. Let's pause that. And then Dana's hit with the same thing in reverse order. Oh, I'm going to look at nudity. No, I choose violence instead. And then Dana then says, nope, I don't want either. And let's cover it up. I just thought that was an interesting little interlude that we had right there.
Yeah. Now, I like what really impressed me, because like immediately after this, we're back in the lab. But like what I have written in my notes is like, they pull you in so much in these like very short segments that we get with these teens. Like I'm invested in their story. Like I'm invested in like, is Holden gonna tell her that he can see her through the mirror? And like I'm watching right along with him. Will he or won't he? And of course he does. And that just gets me more invested in their story. Like, oh, they could be so good together. Like it's amazing how good they are at getting you wrapped up in their story in just this short little time. Again, it's not over explained. They trust us with it. And that's my favorite kind of writing.
Yeah. You pick up on it pretty easily. Like, okay, like we get this. Don't have to say it out loud. Move on.
I appreciate when, as you said, when writers trust their audience, and then also when studios don't interfere and ruin it and force the director and the writer to do a bunch of reshoots to add in more context that we never needed to have to begin with. So in the lab, we're then introduced to this idea that they're playing the deck in their favor. This control group, or these scientists, these engineers. That'd be another way I'd describe, these two characters. They look like engineers. Having worked for an engineering firm, I've seen a lot of short sleeve button-up shirts with pens in the pocket. I was not wearing them. I feel like that needs to be said. And the Chem Lab is talking about how they are doing things to, for example, increase the libido of these individuals, that they're pumping pheromones into the cabin, that the hair dye that Jules has been using has been treated with something that is slowing her cognition. Yes. Essentially, as she's becoming more... What's that, Kat?
She's literally getting dumb and horny as the film progresses. And it's so funny because the line about the hair dye comes within 5 minutes of finding out that Jules is pre-med.
Mm-hmm. They're engineering a dumb blonde.
Exactly.
Yes, they are.
What would be the name of that hair dye?
Dumb blonde.
No, come on. There has to be like I think about like Head and Shoulders, and how like one of the biggest travesties of Head and Shoulders is that it doesn't come with a body wash called Knees and Toes.
I mean, I would say something like Golden Summer. Right? I mean, I think that works.
I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like a different version of like a Pert Plus 2-in-1. Which is something I used plenty of because I could not be bothered to purchase separate shampoo and conditioner, which is probably why I no longer have hair.
Maybe it's actually called Golden Shower.
Set me up this way. Like it just gets cruel to the viewers.
What? One more time?
I said, you can't set me up this way. If I bully you like too much, it gets to look cruel to the viewers. But you don't offer your hair care regimen.
Throwing some softballs your way. All right. The phone rings in their lab, and they're like, "Oh, it's Mordecai." So Whitford answers the phone. I'm calling him Whitford. I don't even know his name in the movie, but Bradley Whitford answers the phone, and Mordecai starts speaking in scripture to him about the cleansing of the world. The fool nearly derailed the invocation. The Ancient One sees everything. And Whitford's like, yeah, okay, fine. So, and then, rushes him off the phone. So we get a sense that the Mordecai person, he's a true believer in whatever's happening. He's fully indoctrinated into this ideology, this religion, this cult, whatever it is. And Whitford he's just doing his job. He could not care less. This is a nuisance to him to have to deal with people like Mordecai. He just wants to finish his shift and get drunk. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting from him.
Oh, absolutely. Like, more like, this is a great moment of comic relief for me, because like the gag in the scene is like Mordecai is calling. They have him on speaker. It's our two lead scientists and Fred. Fred, whose name is Ms. Lynn in this, but I'm going to call her Fred. That's her character's name on Angel, and that's where we
Okay, I wasn't sure why you were calling her Fred, but that tracks.
Well, how do you not know this? Like, oh my God.
I never saw Angel.
Are you even a Whedon fan here, man? So yeah, we've got our two male scientists, and we've got Fred, and I think our security guy is looming in the background. Anyways, Mordecai is on speakerphone. And everyone's just sort of listening to him like they are bored at a meeting, and it's just this overzealous guy going, "The blood will spill," and they're like, "Yeah, Mordecai." And then Mordecai's like, "Wait, do you have me on speakerphone?" "No, that's not fair. I don't know who's on the phone or in the room, And he's like, "Okay, sorry, it was a glitch. I have you off." And then he starts singing again. "Yes, because the blood will spill." Wait, am I still on? Like, it's such a funny Joss Whedon moment. It adds such great punctuation to the pacing of the movie. It's just like, pop, there's a joke, pop, there's a joke.
Here's what I appreciate about that. In the realm of the Marvel world that we are in right now, where so many films try to emulate what Marvel does in its cadence, in its approach to narrative structure, Marvel has become so intertwined with this idea of undercutting tension with comedy in a way that is of detriment to the story. It undermines drama. It robs movies of having any depth because there's always a joke that they're going to serve up. And what I appreciate about this is we have a moment of levity, of humor, and at no point does it undercut any part of the movie. It's not to any detriment to the narrative we're building, to the characters. If anything, it further adds to the characters. It further personifies the fact that Whitford and Jenkins this is just their job, and they don't take this that seriously, and this is kind of a joke to them. Whereas Mordecai, this is his self-actualized identity, right? So they're able to use humor in a way that furthers the structure and the defining of who these characters are without undercutting anything. And that's, once again, that's really good writing. And also trusting your audience to deal with stuff.
Yes. Because, like, I mean, one of the notes I have here is like, first-time watchers of this movie are asking themselves, what is this movie at this point? Because this is again, we're back in the lab. We were just in a cabin in the woods, and now we're back in a lab. And like, I guess another good time to ask Heidi, what were you actually thinking right now?
I was trying to figure out if Mordecai is somehow like on the payroll, or if he's just some crazy kook that they found and stuck him out there. Like, which one is it? I'm not sure, but he's got the phone number. He understands speakerphone, but he's also like crazy gas man, you know, like, and if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. I want to say the phone in the lab that they answer is not something that actually has speakerphone capabilities.
No, it was like a rotary phone.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Like when they answer the one on the wall, that's definitely like, well, at least a handset, you know, the old school ones, not, you know, it's not like a conference room phone.
I bet there was a way that you could connect a rotary phone to a speaker. There had to have been.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But I grew up with a rotary phone. That's how old I am. So, you know.
The one that was,
I don't remember it having a speaker button.
It was always nice because it was always in the kitchen, right? Like,
yes.
the main family phone is in the kitchen.
On the counter.
And you always felt good when the cord to the phone was long enough that you could walk with the receiver into another room so that you can have some resemblance of privacy.
Yes. Also, it is possible to attach a speakerphone to a rotary phone. They actually do this in, I want to say it's like the first episode of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh,
I have not watched that either. I need to.
It's a horror sitcom about the terrors of living through the 1950s while heteronormative.
Yeah.
Gives me shivers.
I never saw the third season. Is it worth it?
I think that the entire series, top to bottom, is worth it.
Okay. I love the first two seasons. I just haven't gone around to the third season.
I'll say that the third and fourth seasons were kind of like nadirs for me.
Oh, there's a fourth.
There's a fifth.
Miss Maisel just keeps going.
No, it's been finished for like 2 years.
Golly.
A lot has happened
since 2020. Okay. All right. So one of the things that were introduced is we have a security guard in this facility, and the security guard is really just he's there as a plot explaining device. That is his only function, is to help the audience understand a little more of what's happening, because it seems that the security guard is new to this position, and he's trying to figure things out at the same time without fully tipping the hat of, we're just going to explain everything, but we're going to use the security guard as a plot device to help the audience get more information. I'm guessing if there was a note at any point from an executive or from a producer was, we need more explaining, that's the security guard. So the security guard is noticing that all the workers, like, Whitford and Jenkins, the chem department, the IT department, HR department, like, they're all congregating in this main conference room or control room, which has all the monitors up, all the TV screens. We have heart monitors for all of the individuals that they are targeting. And they're having a betting pool. They're taking bets on how these individuals are going to meet their end. And the security guard is like, well, aren't you just fixing this whole thing? And they respond to say, no, we're not. We just have to get them into the cellar, but they have to act on their own free will. Just like with the harbinger, so Mordecai, they have to choose to ignore him. If they don't transgress, they cannot be punished. So even though they are doing things to stack the deck in their favor, like the pheromones and the chemicals, they are still allowing these individuals to make their own choices. And if their choices pull them away from danger, then their choices pull them away from danger. And this experiment or this test has failed. Okay. So we go back to the cabin and they're playing just a classic trope of a game for a horror film, Truth or Dare, in which Jules gets dared to make out with a wolf, which Kat mentioned was coated in powdered sugar. It's wildly sexual.
It is. Okay, this took me back to, like, do you remember in the early 2000s, of course, we all remember, when, like, if you were going to make a movie, what you would do is you would have your two dudes, like you would have two dudes, they would be like little on the screen, like right here in the corner. And then you would have a woman's torso taking up the majority of the film poster. And the woman's torso would be dressed like, if it's a movie about two losers going to boot camp, they'd be in the corner, like looking confused in their army duds. And like the woman's torso is in like camo bikini.
It's the cover of Van Wilder. It's the cover of was it Beer League? Was that what it's called? Beer League? Beer Fest.
I'm not the audience for these films, but like
every like college-esque comedy movie from the early 2000s, from like 2001 to 2009, when we realized that none of this stuff was actually funny, is that cover. That is the poster of this movie. Eurotrip is another one.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Not that I have these. Reference.
I've never seen Eurotrip ever. I don't own it on DVD.
I don't think I've seen Eurotrip, but I literally just bought Beer League on Blu-ray for $1 just because I'm like, how bad could it be?
How bad was it, James?
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh no.
I bought it. I often buy movies as an impulse, especially like $1. I was like, come on, at some point I'll be bored on a Friday night and I could pop this in. It was a couple months ago. I still haven't watched it.
I don't like. When you said that you got it for $1, I assumed somebody paid you.
Speaking of movies of that style, I actually got to see an advanced screening of Van Wilder my freshman year of college. I was living on campus at U of A, and they would approach students and ask them to go to these advanced screenings to give feedback on the movie prior to a public release. The crew that did Super Troopers were on campus, and they asked us to go. The actual actor and the director asked us to go watch their movie, and I remember making fun of them and not wanting to go see it, which, shame on me. We did say yes with Van Wilder. We got free tickets to Van Wilder, and we literally watched it, not even in a theater. It was in a like sociology conference classroom that they just projected it on a screen. Like, we weren't even in an actual theater to watch this Van Wilder movie and then give notes and feedback that went back to the director to see if they were going to make any edits. So I got to see Van Wilder 6 months before it ever hit theaters. So I win.
Do you win? You saw Van Wilder. Okay. Congratulations.
All right. As she's making out with a wolf, the cellar door pops open. Oh, Evil Dead.
Oh, wait. That's not what happens, because so she makes out with the wolf in a scene that, by the whole point of me bringing up the early 2000s movies was because that's how coded that scene was. She's like doing a lot of tongue work on that wolf. It's gratuitous. It's but then she turns her attention onto Dana, Truth or Dare, and Chris Hemsworth is just like, she's gonna pick Truth because he's in his jock mode. Like, they've been pumping the pheromones in. He's starting to act just
like a dick.
Yeah.
He's acting like a bully. And so he bullies her into picking dare. The second that she says dare, the basement door whooshes open, as if on cue, as if somebody was watching.
And someone says, the wind must have popped it open. And Marty, one of my favorite lines in the movie, that makes what kind of sense?
He's a great character.
Perfect line.
That is not my favorite line in this movie, but we'll get to it because it's coming up.
Is it Marty?
It is Marty.
Of course.
Well, this line actually gets delivered twice.
Fran Kranz.
It's really a treasure when he delivers this line for the second time. And I can't wait. I'm tickled.
All right. I have a hypothesis of what it is, but we'll get there.
You probably already know.
Dare her to go into the basement. Flash forward, they all end up in the basement, and they're exploring around the basement. The basement is filled with what you see at first appears to be a lot of junk, but when you start to look closer, you start to see a lot of homages, an insane amount of homages. Like one of the first things I queued on is an early fan of these movies was they had their own version of the lament configuration, which is the puzzle box from Hellraiser. Theirs, they had spherical as opposed to a cube, but that's something that is going to play into the movie at a later point. And as everyone is exploring through this cellar, every single person picks up a different object and starts interacting with a different object. And you get the sense that any one of these is a choose your own adventure door. That's the vibe check we're getting.
And I just want to point out, like, what we've seen, like, from our exposition scenes in the lab, they're placing bets. All of our scientists and all the departments, they're all placing bets on what monster's going to win. And we start to see what those monsters are when they go into the basement. Like, obviously, the Harbinger is the guy with the puzzle box. Or at least that was my take on it. That's the Harbinger.
The Harbinger is Mordecai. he's the one warning them of what's coming.
Oh, I guess that's right. I guess that makes sense. He is literally a harbinger of death and doom. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But so, like, they have the puzzle box. Jules starts, like, interacting with a necklace, and I don't remember what that one's tied to, some kind of bride. Like, people are placing bets. Oh, Chris Hemsworth at one point picks up a conch shell, and like, everyone gets really excited because the odds that they could accidentally summon a merman or mermaid or whatever it was.
Yeah, the Aquaman. That one guy's so excited and wants it, and the other guy's like, you don't understand the cleanup.
Like, they've been placing bets on it could be a mermaid that kills them, and, like, it almost happens.
Out of all the objects, Dana starts reading a journal, and she calls everyone over. So everyone puts down their object, whatever they were holding, from the lament configuration to the shell to the necklace. They set them down and they congregate around Dana. And she starts reading the journal, which Marty, once again, wisely tries to warn her, do not read the Latin.
Read from the book.
Yes. I'm drawing a line in the sand. Do not read the Latin. But then all of a sudden there's a whispered voice, a disembodied voice. Read it. Read the book.
And Marty reacts to it in real time. It's so great. He's like, what was that?
But no one else seems to notice.
He's the voice of reason that we all wish was there in the horror movies. Like I think everyone has this complaint about horror movies. You're watching it and you're screaming at the TV, don't go in the attic, you're gonna get murdered by a ghost. And nobody knows why people in horror movies act this stupid. Well, now we know. They've been pumping in pheromones. So
Marty is the voice of the audience.
Yes, absolutely. I do want to clarify, like, the journal that they read is also particularly gruesome. Like, we're getting graphic descriptions of torture at the family reunions. Like, it's the journal of a young girl who's part of this family called the Buckners. Is that what they're called? Buckners?
The Buckners.
Mm-hmm.
And like their way of expressing their faith and devotion is through like heinous torture and murder. So it's, your classic redneck torture family.
And that's what they are. Like, as soon as she reads from the book, you see these zombied limbs emerge from the ground around the cabin, and these corpses bring themselves up out of the ground and start lumbering towards the cabin. But we cut back to the control room with Whitford and Jenkins saying, we have a winner. It's the Buckners, the zombie redneck torture family, which Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like this, Motel Hell. This is what we're playing. But behind them, they have their pool board of all the bets. So I freeze framed it to kind of see.
I wanted to.
And I was able to pick up a lot of it, not all of it. You had werewolf, aliens, or alien beast is what it was. Mutants, clowns, witches, sexy witches, which was its own category, which amazing.
It's different.
Demons. What's that?
I said it's different.
Mm-hmm. Hell Lord, which that pinhead. Angry molesting tree, which Evil Dead. Giant snake, Anaconda. Deadites, Evil Dead. Kevin. I have no idea what Kevin is. Do you know,
This
Kat?
is a reference to Sin City. It's a reference to Elijah Wood's character in Sin City. Also, there are over 60 monsters on the board. They were all like discussed and advanced by Wheaton and Goddard for this film. Some of them are completely unique creations, but many of them are references to classic horror.
So Kevin is Elijah Wood from Sin City. That is hilarious.
And he's creepy in that movie.
He's so creepy
job.
in that. Sugar Plum Fairy, Unicorn.
That's the one I saw was Sugar Plum Fairy. It's the only one I caught because I didn't hit pause.
Which that would certainly be an interesting movie. There's a Tooth Fairy movie, but not a Sugar Plum Fairy movie. Unicorn Dolls, Jack-o'-lantern, Giant, Twins, The Shining, and Whitford is lamenting, and this is where he's lamenting. He's like, I'm never going to see our merman ever, and Jenkins, tells him, you don't. It's terrible. And as they're walking through their control room, you kind of pass a monitor, and on the monitor is what looks like a J-horror movie. It's whatever's happening in Japan at this moment, which appears to be a Japanese ghost spirit specter, similar to The Grudge, The Ring, all of these, classic J-horror movies, which were remade for American audiences. That's kind of what we're seeing on this monitor behind them. So whatever is happening in Japan is happening ahead of what is about to happen here in the States. We assume we're in America. We know we're in America because what they said, U.S. is number 2 in this almost like national or international contest between these different nationalities that are creating these experiments. But back at the cabin, Jules is dancing all scantily through the cabin, and Marty starts to question things. Marty's questioning, when does Kurt pull this alpha male BS? Like this, everyone's acting different. This is not how Jules acts. This is not how Kurt acts. Why is everyone being different? And that's when I think we see the pheromone actually missed out of the vents in the house, and we see that they're pumping this in to the house.
Yeah, Absolutely. Like he starts to really question this. And I mean, it makes sense. It's actually, I love how they did the scene because they actually do frame how awkward it would be if like your friend just started giving it, or like if your girlfriend started giving every guy at the party a lap dance, because that's what Jules is doing. She's like grinding up on Marty and talking about how they used to be sweeties. And Marty is like, we made out once freshman year. And Kurt's in the background going, yeah, you know you want it. And it's like, in what universe would this not ruin the party? I've been to a party like this, and it did ruin the party. I'll tell you what.
Were you grinding up on Marty?
It's better that I save that story for our Patreon episodes coming soon.
So Jules and Kurt go off to smooch out in the woods. They got some smooching to do. And of course there's a great camera feed of them smooching up on the ground. And we
Again,
cut to,
where are those cameras?
Where are these cameras? We cut to everyone in the control room, and all the guys are watching, jaw drop, gobsmacked. This smooching scene. I couldn't see any girls watching this, although there seemed to be very few women that worked for this company. But I definitely didn't really notice any watching this scene of Jules about to take her top off.
Yeah,
no, it was all the guys lined up.
And then she decides at the very last second, like as she's about to take her top off, I'm chilly. And all the guys groan, and like our two lead scientists are like, yeah, get out of here, you horn dogs. We've got work to do.
Her top does come off, though.
Her top eventually comes off, but after that moment.
Yeah. Well, they pumped more pheromones into the atmosphere. So, like, Whitford and Jenkins must have been like, we need to speed this up, because you see mist come up through the ground, which clearly is the pheromones that they're pumping in.
Yes, we see that. Also, we didn't point it out earlier. When Jules is giving everyone lap dances back in the cabin a few minutes prior, Holden has transformed from a jock to a nerd. He's now wearing glasses. Dana has put on a cardigan. They have like assumed their roles in new, meaningful ways. Wait, did I say Jules or Dana? Dana put on a cardigan. Our virgin put on a cardigan. She added another layer of clothes while Jules is taking it off. And so they're all getting more into their archetypes, with the exception of Marty, who seems to be strangely immune for some reason.
I like that you noticed the shift in wardrobe. I clocked the glasses, but I didn't clock that Dana was becoming more conservative in her appearance.
Same. I noticed the glasses.
You can always rely on me to keep track of the fashion.
Back to Jules and Kurt smooching. It gets interrupted rudely because the Buckners are there, and
they
Jules
start off the stab hand, like
stabbed in the hand.
Yeah, love it. 7 out of 10 Sam Raimi's for that one.
Yeah, it was a good hand stab. Back at the control room, they pull a lever, and this pulling of a lever triggers blood to flow down a, what would you call it, like a small carved conduit, to then start to flow into this stone. And there's a carving in the stone, and you don't really get a full glimpse of what the carving in the stone is. You just see the blood start to fill in the outlines of this carving within a stone. Very similar to the totems that the blood was filling in the movie Blade. I was
going to bring up Blade. I'm like, there's no way it's not a Blade reference specifically. You think Joss Whedon is making a movie with no vampires, but it's not going to have a vampire reference. Like,
it made me think of Underworld when they like reawaken the wrong vampire, right? That's what I kind of was thinking of.
Marty goes outside and looks up at the sky and says, I thought there'd be stars. I don't know why I wrote that line. I just thought that was funny.
Wait, I forgot 1 second before Marty goes outside, he finds something very important.
What does he find?
Oh, no, wait, I'm lying to you. He doesn't find it until after this. So just snip this part out. But yeah, he goes outside and says that.
And we see in the background, there's a figure creeping up on him. It's out of focus in the background. One of the Buckners is approaching him, but then Kurt saves him. Kurt is not dead yet. Kurt saves Marty, and a hillbilly throws Jules's head at Dana.
10 out of 10 Sam Raimi is on this one because it squirts on her too.
Yeah, there's a little extra splutter there.
She tosses it and it splooches back on her, and I'm like, yes, this is why we go to the movies.
And my thought was like, why does she even try to catch it after she sees like who's throwing it? Like, why bother?
Complex. I don't know. She spends her time with jocks. They throw things at her frequently, I guess. But this is where the action is happening. Jules is now confirmed killed. And Chris Hemsworth, they barricade the door, and Chris Hemsworth says, okay, we have to board up the entire place. We just have to make it till morning or whatever. The most important thing is we've all got to stick together. Cut back to our scientists who have one word to say about that. Fuck.
And what did they end up doing? Did they end up pumping more chemicals in?
They do pump more chemicals in at that. I did miss it. Before Marty goes out on his walk, he does actually say my favorite line in the entire movie.
Oh.
It's as Dana and Holden are on the couch and they're about to maybe get cuddly. And she's saying things like, I mean, never. I mean, and they're talking about taking it slow. Marty walks by. He's about to go on his walk just before being attacked by zombies. And he says, he has a husband's bulge, which is a line
from
the Torture Family's journal. And it's my favorite line in the entire movie. He has a husband's bulge.
That was really funny. And I'm glad that he recited that, because it was in the diary when she was talking about the dad and the mom.
Yeah. In the diary, when she's reading in the basement, she reads this sort of graphic paragraph about how when they're torturing, the dad or the brother or somebody has a husband's bulge. And so then, which is really gross and really creepy. And Marty's the only one to clock how gross and creepy that is. So then later on, when everyone else is just being perfectly nonchalant about how weird the evening is going, he's walking by and just drops up, he's got a husband's bulge. And it's great. And I just pulled us out of order, and I'm sorry, but not really.
No. Right after Kurt says we should stay together, he has an epiphany. He says, wait, we should split up. So apparently the chemicals they're pumping in are fast acting. These are not delayed doses. And Marty responds, really? Marty's he's dumbfounded by everyone's shift in character just to such an extraordinary degree, but also he's not pushing it. He's not arguing with it. He's not getting them to change their mind. So in that sense, Marty is really playing the audience in this. He's like, what are you doing? But then he goes along with it. He's along for the ride. He is the fifth wheel in this cluster of people. He's the only one without a partner. And that's why I think he is the audience. He's the audience reacting to what's happening in real time. And I think that's why he, at this point in the movie, has never dictated what is happening. He's never changed the direction of what's happening yet. And I think that's interesting. Marty ends up finding a camera in his room. And as he's looking at it, all of a sudden, one of the Buckners comes up to the window behind him and pulls him through the window. And he's trying to use his bong cup to save himself, but he ends up getting dragged away. And back at control room, they pull another lever, and more blood starts seeping into another totem stone. And we get a little mini earthquake. So something is happening below the earth with these deaths. We go back to there's just Kurt, Holden, and Dana left. And they're fighting off the Buckners as best they can. And they end up in an RV, and they're just trying to drive away in their RV. We do get another quick shot back at Control Center, where we see in Japan, a group of Japanese schoolgirls have defeated the evil spirit. They've all joined hands in a circle. They're singing, and the evil spirit is being absolved from this body that it was inhabiting. So Japan has failed. Yes. As the RV is driving up to the tunnel, Whitford and Jenkins are freaking out because the tunnel's open and they can escape, and we can't let that happen. So they're quickly trying to scramble to get the tunnel to close or to collapse. And they're able to trigger a avalanche that is able to block the tunnel, trapping the three people in this force-fielded area. So they decide, you know what? I have my motorcycle. Kurt, I have my motorcycle. I could jump this chasm. There's a chasm on the side of the road. I could jump to the other side. And they're like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "I could do this. I've made bigger jumps." So he takes his motorcycle and he tries to jump this divide.
But wait, before we get into the jump itself, because like they get so emotional with this. Kurt gives an entire speech about how like this is everything to him. For Jules, we're going to do this. For Jules, we have to do this. The emotional like architecture has been built up for this moment. Like there's scaffolding here. And we are ramping up, and he's ready for it. We're ready for it. Okay, now go. Now you can finish.
And he ramps up into the force field.
Shazam! It's great. It's brilliant. We see him topple all the way down. It's brilliant.
It's a fly going into a bug zapper is what we have. That is Kurt. Just
it's epic. It's hilarious. It ticked so many boxes for me on my like slasher bingo card. Like for it to be that epic, that built up, that funny, like my heart was in my throat. Like I'm like, I hope they make it splat. I'm laughing now. I went through an emotional roller coaster. I love it.
And with who Chris Hemsworth is, even though this is early Chris Hemsworth, he clearly is the iconic hero. That is the portrayal. So to kill him off is a subversion of expectation.
Absolutely. Like, and I mean, like I said, he got cast as Thor based on the dailies from this film. So like when I tell you the delivery is strong, it's very, very good. And that leaves just Dana and Holden, our nerd virgin. And they are now back. They get back in the Rambler and they're driving back towards the cabin.
Well, Holden's idea is we'll just drive past the cabin. There's got to be another exit. But that doesn't get to play out because there's a Buckner in the RV who stabs Holden through the neck.
Why didn't you guys clear the RV?
Marty
which we
wasn't the only
know
one.
because there was a palm print on the side of it when they all ran inside. So we know that something's wrong there. Way before.
We knew it was coming. And also, like, I want to point out, Dana has been picking up on like how weird everything is. And now that they've seen the force field, now they're really, their worst fears are confirmed. They are puppets in some kind of Skinner box.
And Dana even says Marty was right. She's tracking that Marty has this idea of being lab rats, and Marty was right. Yeah. Back at command center, everyone's partying. They're drinking. They're having a great time. And once again, we're going to use a security guard to implore, why is everyone celebrating? The girl's still alive. Like, yeah, you killed everyone else, but the girl's still alive. And they inform her, well, the virgin's death is optional. She just has to suffer. And clearly she's suffering. Like you see on the screen behind her, she's being attacked by a Buckner. Whether or not she lives or dies is does not matter. She suffered. And then all of a sudden the phone rings in the command center. And so they turn down the music and they go over and answer it. And it's from upstairs. He answers the phone. Says, well, that's impossible. Everything was done right. Which one? And all of a sudden, Marty appears and he saves Dana. Marty's not dead.
Yeah,
because we never actually see him die.
You just see him get dragged off.
Yep.
If I ever had a chance to ask Joss Whedon some questions about anything, well, first of all, I'd ask him, what did you do to Michelle Trachtenberg? But my second question would be, is there a version of this movie where it's Jules who comes back? Because I would believe that draft is on a floor somewhere. This is the inventor of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. His entire concept of Buffy the Vampire Slayer was that the bimbo who gets killed first in every slasher is actually really fun and cool. What if she lived? So like, he wrote that as a concept for a show, so I fully believe that there's a rough draft of this movie where Jules is the one.
Yeah, but the show is based off the movie.
The movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the creation of Joss Whedon. The entire creation of Joss Whedon's is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
But did he make the movie?
He made the movie. He invented the concept of Buffy.
My mistake. I did not realize the person who made the TV show also made the movie.
Yeah, no, that was like his whole thing was like his whole claim to fame originally was the concept of what if this super fun, bubbly, blonde bimbo who gets killed at the beginning of every movie lived and was actually the final girl.
I love it. That is clever. Well, it's not Jules, it's Marty. And he takes Dana into a grave. And she's like, what are you doing? And he just, follow me. So now Marty's in control. This is the first time Marty has been impacting the direction of the events. He pulls Dana into the grave, and the grave ends up opening into this cement room underground. And there's a dead corpse on the ground, or a disembodied corpse on the ground. And Marty looks at it kind of with intense eyes, like, I had to dismember that guy with a trowel. What have you been up to?
Which is great because it's still twitching, and like I was looking almost for like a little bit of robotics just because of what's been happening with the engineers. I'm like, is there anything here, or is this really still supernatural?
Oh my god. He finds the controls to an elevator, and they get in the elevator. He's like, where else are we gonna go? Like, we're going in the elevator, and we figure out that the elevator moves. It's omnidirectional. It doesn't just move up and down. It can move sideways and assumedly diagonal. And both sides of the elevator are these windows. And as it moves, it can come up against another elevator car. And so it stops against one, and Dana walks up to it, and you just see this darkness on the other side of this window until a werewolf jumps out. A very, very underworld looking werewolf jumps out
and against the glass. Like it can't get out. It's
can't get through from its elevator box to their elevator box. It is blocked. And then their elevator moves and then stops again. And you have this supernatural mist on the other side of the glass. And then a ghost appears and hits up against the glass. Elevator moves again. And who do we have? We have the Hell Lord. We have their version of Pinhead holding the lament configuration. And then you have a demonic ballerina. And this is Dana's light bulb moment where he says, we get to choose. We got to choose our nightmare. And the camera zooms out and you see all these boxes moving around, configuring around, each box with a different creature, a different nightmare.
And the whole time this is happening, I was thinking of the movie 13 Ghosts.
Yes.
That's what I was seeing in my head. I know it's different, but I was like, okay, this is kind of along those lines.
Yep. A Richard Castle original, then remade. Yeah. 13 Ghosts.
Yeah, I was thinking the one with Matthew Lillard, because who wouldn't think of him on a daily basis?
We go back to the control room and they realize that whatever Marty's been smoking has immunized him against all of their chemical warfare against them. Everyone was susceptible except for Marty, and that's why he's remained immune to what they're doing. And the elevator, they're able to get the elevator to go to the control room. They just lucked out that way. A guard is there with a gun, and all he has to do really is just kill Marty. But the guard gets distracted because the zombie arm on the ground grabs him. And that is enough of a distraction for Marty to disarm him and kill him. A voice comes over the PA. That's a very familiar voice. And it says, "You shouldn't be here. I can only imagine your confusion. What's happening to you is part of something bigger, something older. And it's our task to placate the older ones. And it's your job to be sacrificed." So that doesn't sit too well with Marty and Dana. So they decide to set all of these creatures free.
Yes. And it's brilliant. Oh my gosh. It's a visual feast. This is where the budget was spent.
This has to break your Raimi scale.
Oh, you know what? The Raimi scale really hasn't been broken since that scene with the elevator in The Shining. But like, it's great. It's a bloodbath. We see every creature that you've ever seen in any movie, and then we see some you've never seen ever, some you never could have conceptualized. It's glorious. We even have a Buckner who shows up.
And the fact that this whole thing is happening in an elevator hallway, or a hallway with a bunch of elevators, I mean, that's The Shining. Like, we're playing off The Shining. But yeah, all the elevator doors open simultaneously, and you have like 20 armed security guards standing in this foyer, and all 10 elevator doors on either side of them open up simultaneously.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, at the same time, every creature descends on them, like the anaconda, giant spiders, the hell priest, the ballerina with just a mouth for a head, like just all of them being the killer ghost that looks like the ghost from 13 Ghosts, a version of Pennywise, a unicorn that's just trotting around stabbing people with its unicorn. I don't know what that's called. Horn.
Yes.
So it doesn't just kill the security, it kills all the workers. Like, they are killing everyone. And
there's a great shot that's not completely actualized here, because like we're watching kind of in the command room all of this happening, like on security cameras at one point, and we see Ron the intern. Is that his name? Ron the intern? Yeah, Ron the intern. He's in a room and he's holding up signs, and you can't see what these signs are. But as you know, I thoughtfully stalk IMDb's trivia pages so you don't have to. And the signs actually said, I can't get out. I'm in this room. The bat dragon has my scent. I'm Ron the intern. And they wanted to get a zoom of that shot, but they couldn't for whatever reason. But I just thought it was so funny, and so I had to share with the class.
That's fantastic. I missed that completely.
I was like I spying for it.
Yeah, so much happens. Like, and through a lot of this movie, there's a lot of things where if you're not pausing or going frame by frame, you're missing.
I did not pause. I watched this one straight through.
They cram a lot in. Poor Hadley. Hadley, that's who Whitford plays. Hadley he sees the merman finally, and the merman goes at Hadley and attacks Hadley, and we get like, oh, come on.
10 out of 10 Sam Raimi's. He eats his face and blood comes out his blowhole.
Amazing. Yes, that was wonderful, actually. I enjoyed that.
A delight for the senses.
So Jenkins just manages to escape, only to cross a corner and have Dana stab him. And before he gasps his last breath, he tells her that she needs to kill Marty. Dana and Marty end up finding the chamber with the stone tablets. And she looks around. Now we actually see all the tablets. And she realizes that the tablets represent them. They're us. And who appears but the voice we heard over the PA system.
Which, of course, we all know and recognize and love.
Sigourney herself. And Sigourney then gives us our final exposition that there must be at least 5. There must be the whore who dies first, the athlete, the scholar, the fool, leaving the virgin to live or die as fate decides. And virgin, and one of the best lines. We work with what we have.
That was great, actually. That was close enough. You're fine.
Good line. I love Sigourney's delivery. I love that they got Sigourney. They were very determined, by the way. They were going to have a prominent figure from horror in this role as the director. And their first pick was Bruce Campbell, who wasn't available. And their second pick was Jamie Lee Curtis. And their third pick, who they got, was Sigourney Weaver, our favorite final girl.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis would have been more on brand for this, being that, I mean, not only Halloween, Terror Train, Prom Night, The Fog, like Sigourney had the Alien franchise and then Ghostbusters. That was really what but I mean, still iconic and perfect in this role. And she says, like, listen, if you do not kill Marty, these overlords will destroy the world. They'll destroy humanity. So you can die. She's talking to Marty, says you can die with them or you can die for them. And Dana seems on board with this. She picks up the gun and she points it at Marty. And then a werewolf attacks her and she drops the gun. And all of a sudden, a girl with an axe appears and is able to kill the director, kills Sigourney Weaver.
It's the Buckner. It's the Buckner child.
The Buckner child.
The one without the arm.
Yeah. She could hardly write because her arm was gone in that profane journal. So like we know it's a Buckner.
So we're left just with Dana and Marty, and both of them are pretty worse for wear. Like they're not doing well. And then the question is, Marty's like, are you going to kill me? This definitely feels like a little nod to John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982, where you have two people, they're both too exhausted to do anything, so they're just not going to do anything. Like I thought that was if it wasn't intentional, accidental delight. And they says, you know what? Maybe it's time we give someone else a chance. Maybe we had our turn. And you have or Marty saying, giant evil gods. I wish I could have seen them. Now that would have been a fun weekend.
Yeah, I like that line too. He's got some good ones.
And then you have these giant hands that erupt from under the ground and erupt all the way up through the control center, which we learned was literally right below the cabin, up through the cabin, and then slams down onto the camera as credits roll. The end. Woo!
Amazing.
Woo. I mean, there's a lot here. I mean, we have like Marty for a large percentage of this film portrayed the audience and our reaction to it. The engineers, we'll call them the engineers. Well, that's Hollywood producers. They are Hollywood producers engineering these tropes, engineering one repetitive thing after another, not caring, having no actual interest in what is being made, as long as they get paid, as long as they go home at the end of the day. Like they couldn't care less. You have the director who's really trying to engineer all these tropes to work together. You have this play on all the different cultures and them creating their own repetitive, recycled versions of this same thing. I mean, you have so many analogies and homages that it's packed into this movie. Like you could spend a whole semester doing this as a class and unpacking this. So, final deliberations. We'll start with Heidi. Where are you at? What is your verdict of The Cabin in the Woods?
I think this is a must watch, and I would say I need to watch it again at least one more time. Maybe it's not for everybody all the time. You know, maybe it's not like a 27 watcher, but definitely I would say twice. It's worth it, and it's fun, and there is a lot. There's obviously things I missed that now I'm going to have to go back and look for because there is so much going on. And I did watch it without pausing, which I normally don't do, but I was kind of scrambling to get it like completed in time for the original schedule. So I was like, oh my God, I've got to do this. I got to watch it, power through it. But yes, I like it. I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I definitely had to stay up past my bedtime to get this one in.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Kat.
I mean, nothing could make me hate this movie. Absolutely not guilty. I'm not ashamed it came before our jury because I got to watch it again and talk about it here. But like, oh my gosh, not guilty. Did you know Joss Whedon actually thought this movie, like he didn't have any faith in this movie. And it's one of my favorite projects. I think it's like some of his best writing. It's where the things that he does that I like work best. And it's just like, it's a really flawless horror comedy. And I've never met anybody who doesn't like this movie.
It would be hard to fathom this getting a bad review, but I like to defy expectations, so no, I'm kidding.
I was actually going to have to reach through the screen somehow.
I just like every now and then I just want to throw something out just to watch the reaction on Kat's face. I was like, I knew I was going to like this movie watching it again. Like I've seen this movie several times. I've never not enjoyed this movie. My only curiosity is, would the meta component of the film hold up after 15 years of other films coming out and the industry evolving? And it does. It still really does, because clearly Hollywood has not learned their lesson. Clearly, the producers have not watched this movie, or if they did watch the movie, they didn't understand it, because they're still playing into the same tropes. They're still playing into the same recycled content, and they clearly have not learned anything from this. And the people who suffer the most is Marty, the audience. Like, we're the ones who have to subject ourselves. So that's why, like, you know, I think meta is like the reason I put this in March, not just for the alliteration of Meta March, was because Scream 7 just dropped. I will be seeing it tonight as of recording this. And that was a franchise that kind of precipitated so much of this. And Scream 7 has now become a victim of its own critique, a victim of its own design. Like, I am going to predict that this is going to be the worst of all the Scream movies, like, off the bat.
I agree with that completely.
I'm just going to assume that.
Like,
I refuse to buy the popcorn bucket until it goes on sale. I hate that they fired actors from it for exercising their right to free speech. I don't agree with the direction of the rewrite. Full stop. No thanks. I'll see it when it comes out.
Well, a fired actor, singular.
Yes, you're right. Another
actor. Barrera, and then Ortega quit.
Yes, that's right.
And then the director left, and then the studio had to shelve out a bunch of money to bring in Neve Campbell, because it was the only thing that they could do to try to salvage this. And then Kevin Williamson took on directorial responsibilities, thinking that that was going to mean something. So, yeah, we'll see. I'll report back next week on what I thought of it. And next week we have on The Final Girls, another meta film that we'll be covering next week, which was wildly undermarketed. And like, that's all I want to say about it, because there's so much to unpack in that movie as well that I think plays so nicely off The Cabin in the Woods, The Final Girls from 2015. So tune in next week for that. Until that episode, huge thanks to both Heidi and Kat for their analysis and deliberation of The Cabin in the Woods from 2012. Thank you so much for checking out this episode, and we'll catch you all in the next screening. Take care, everyone.
Yay!